Hey everyone, welcome to the St. John Yugioh channel. The kind of things I'm going to be going over in this channel are things to benefit both newer players and older players alike. When I was creating this channel, the vision that I had was to create a video database for players from my locals in St. John, New Brunswick to constantly refer to, to improve their game, improve their knowledge of the game, get better, and improve their skills. But the things I'm going to be going over in this channel are, like I said, things to improve both newer players and older players alike. Whether you live in, St. John, New Brunswick, or if you live in another province, or even if you live in, a whole other country or even continent. So the things I'm going to be going over in this channel are things, such as deck profiles, player interviews, card discussions, game rulings, mechanics, all that sort of thing. So there's going to be lots of different content for everyone. I may even get into stuff like pack openings, and not only that, but if there's anything that any of you guys want to see in this channel, please don't hesitate to send me a message or leave a comment in one of the videos that I post. And if and when I see them, if enough people want to see specific content in a video, then more than likely I'll make a video for that. This is a Yu-Gi-Oh Yu-Gi-Oh YouTube channel for basically for the people. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump right into things. This is a deck profile of a deck that I've ran since the archetype first came out, and that is Geargia Curry. I first fell in love with the deck when I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh competitively a couple years ago. I had just gotten a structure deck. It was the Dragons of Legend. No, not Dragons of Legend. Dragons Collide, sorry. The Dragons Collide structure deck. And I'd been playing around with it, for a couple weeks, and I went out and bought a couple packs when Return of the Duelist was out, and, one single pack that I bought, and I pulled a Geargia X, and that got me hooked on the archetype, because it was just such a good card, and then it just took off from there. So let's just jump right into the deck profile. Like I said, this deck has always treated me well. It's never really let me down. This is my personal deck that I use at a lot of locals, tournaments, all that sort of thing. So I'm always constantly working on it. So what you see today, it could be different tomorrow, could be different, a week from now. Who knows? It just all depends on on what I feel the deck is good with and what it's not that good with, and depending on how the meta looks in our region. So I'm gonna start things off with 3 armor. It's very, very standard. 3 searches. Everyone likes 3 searches. And in case you want to know what each of these cards do, if enough, like I said, if enough people want it, I can do a discussion video on what the cards do, how the deck works, different combos and all that sort of thing. So just leave a comment in the in the comment section down below, or send me a message. And if enough people are interested, then I can post those kinds of videos as well. So we had the 3 armor, then we have 3 more armors. This is your arsenal. Acts as a second place set of armor. 1700 beats deck, really good. Then we got 3 Accelerator. He's what makes the deck really, really good. And we have 3 Geargiano MK2 and the single Geargiano. These are your Geargia gear targets. So, really, really, really good cards. Then we got the Karakuri Watchdogs and the Karakuri Strategist for your Karakuri tuners. This is what makes it the Geargia Curry build. You don't really want to draw these cards, first turn. getting them opening hand isn't really that great, but you can easily still play around it, and that's kind of the reasoning behind why people are playing the pure build now over the curry build is because these cards are dead if you open with them, or even if you draw into them anyway. But these are the cards that can give you those pushes, and opening them isn't even that bad. The problem is when you open multiples. So if you open two of these in the first hand, or even if you open a strategist in the first hand, ideally you would want to open up a watchdog first hand, but you can still work with a single strategist. And basically, you just set your watchdog, bluff it as an armor, and then next turn you can play any level 3 or level 4 non-tuner monster, and and go into a synchro or exceed play. And for the final monster of the deck is Geargia Ally Birdman. Pretty self-explanatory. Like I said, really standard, except for a few things you'll see here and there. But Birdman is too good. On to the spells. I run 3 MST, a single copy of Dark Hole, 2 Forbidden Lance. Forbidden Lance is really good. You mostly use it for damage step shenanigans. I don't really find myself using it a whole lot against cards like Compulse, Bottomless, all that sort of things. Although that's not to say that I've never used it for those reasons. I find myself using it to basically to get around bigger monsters, using it during damage step when they're attacking me. And this actually really helps against the Evil Sora matchup. Because if you have a set armor, and they go into Ophion, obviously they're going to attack with no fear, because they got their Pandemic ready to go, so they're not afraid of your back row. So you activate Lance during the damage step, which Pandemic cannot be activated during. And then Ophion drops down to 1750 attack, runs into your armor, they take 150 damage, and you get a free search. So ideally, you'd search for something like any level 4 Geargia monster, but ideally, you'd want to go for your accelerator. Then when your turn comes around, you special accelerator, overlay it into arc, and deal with that Ophion, and then you can start making your big synchro plays. And for the last spell, I run a single copy of Soul Charge. So this is the post Dragons of Legend format, in April. So the reason why I'm running a single copy of Soul Charge, I didn't want to run multiple because I felt they would get cloggy. This game is already this deck is already fast enough as it is, and it's really good in the grind game. And what Soul Charge does is it makes the deck even better during the grind game. Because then you can bring back your synchros. You can bring back one or two monsters and just keep pushing. And a lot of people they say, oh, so Soul Charge isn't that good. You miss your battle phase, and you lose a bunch of life points. But you're not always going to be reviving 4 or 5 monsters. Actually, some of the best plays that you can make in pretty much any deck are just plays where you just revive 1 or 2 monsters. It's basically a monster reborn that costs 1,000 life points to use, and you miss your battle phase. So it's not too bad. So that's it for the spells. Onto the traps. 3 Geargia Gear, the Rescue Rabbit of the deck. 9 times out of 10, if you can resolve Geargia Gear, especially early game, you're more than likely going to win. And that's not because the card is super powerful. It's just because the card gives you a whole lot of options. It opens up so many different plays. Now the card itself isn't powerful. It's just the possibilities with this deck that it opens up. Then we got 3 Fiendish Chain. I run 3. I used to run 2 last format. I'm running 3 now because monster effects are more prevalent. They're you're seeing a lot of more monster field effects now than ever, especially now that rank 4s are the new rank 7s. With Arc and Exciton Knight, you know, so many monsters are doing stuff on the field now, and it's just you just need to deal with that, especially with Fire Fist. This deck, traditionally it's a very tight matchup against Fire Fist, and that's because their bear can pop your set armor, and that's what Fiendish Chain helps stop too. 2 Mirror Force, pretty self-explanatory. Punish your opponent for overextending. Wipe the field clear before you push for an OTK. D Prison for dealing with stuff like bear, outchaining Pandemic to get rid of an Ophion. Just 1-for-1 spot removal. It's a really good card. And that's also really good for dealing with cards like Beals, which are starting to see more play. It's just a really good and versatile card. If it was at 3, I might run it at 3. 2 Call the Haunted. Call the Haunted's really good because you can activate it during your opponent's end phase, bring back an armor. During your turn, you set the armor, flip the armor back up, and you get a free search. Call the Haunted's also really good because you can activate it when your opponent selects it as a blind MST. So you chain it to the MST and you get to revive. You can revive either your Geargia X or you can revive your Accelerator. And what that does is Accelerator and Geargia X get their graveyard effects where, when they go to the grave, Accelerator lets you add a Geargia monster from grave to hand, except Accelerator, and Geargia X gets you a Geargiano special summoned from the graveyard. Excuse me. And that's also really good, for bringing back synchros and, and people might say, oh, with the Call of the Haunted and the Fiendish Chains, those are going to clog up your back row. And that's hardly ever an issue. I've almost never had an issue with clogged back row like that, just from dead calls or dead Fiendish Chains. Because I know one of the reasons is because I run Scrap Dragon, so that gives me easy fodder to get rid of them with, or to use them with. Sorry. And then I run 2 Trap Stun. Trap Stun, like I said, very standard build. Helps ensure the OTK goes off. And it's also good for 1-for-1ing your opponent. So if they activate something like Torrential or Mirror Force, then you can chain Trap Stun to it. And they just wasted a card. And even if they chain something else to it, then they're down 2 cards, and either way, you're going to be in a position where you'll most likely be able to recover at least fairly easily. So if your Trap Stun gets chained to, it's not good, but it's not the end of the world either. Warning, Bottomless, and Torrential for staples. Self-explanatory for those. And that's the main deck. It's 41 cards. I rarely go over the 40 card limit, but with this deck, I don't feel it's that much of an issue because because of all the deck searching, deck thinning you're doing. You're just constantly in your deck grabbing stuff. So so that extra 1 card, you're not gonna see a whole lot of difference, if any at all, with your games. If anything, it's actually kind of a better thing, because with a slightly larger deck, it does slightly decrease the odds of opening with a Karakuri Tuner. That's not to say I'm going to run like a 50 or 60 card Geargia deck, just because I don't think that would work. But just 1 card over the limit, it's not going to hurt in this case. Now onto the extra deck. I run the 2 Berets and the 1 Burrito for the Karakuri Synchros. Beret and Strategist are really good for abusing armor and and pushing even further. Next I run a Black Rose Dragon. really, really good card. There have, I don't always go into them, but when I do go into them, I'm always happy I did. It's one of those cards where I'd rather play him and not need him than not play him and need him. You know, it's it's really, really good. It's actually really, really amazing against the Fire Fist matchup. Because if they don't open a whole lot of monsters and they open, a lot of back row, a lot of the time you can first or second turn Black Rose Dragon. And then they just, that just kills all of their advantage, and it's very easy to get game after that. And you can actually easily make this card with a 1 card combo that you can do, mid to late game. It's very, very simple to make him. Basically the way you can make him is just a alternate way of making an Exciton Knight. Which all depends on the cards that you have available to use, which is why I run both Black Rose and Exciton Knight. Because sometimes you won't have the resources to make one, but you'll have the resources to make the other. Scrap Dragon, like I said, pop your Dead Call the Haunted, your Dead Fiendish Chains. It's just, free removal for your opponent. Or against your opponent, sorry. Crimson Blader, he's really good against, bigger, decks that run bigger monsters like dragons, mermail, Fire Kings. Just shuts them down. And to round up the synchros, I run a Stardust Dragon. Stardust Dragon, I mostly go into when I don't get a trap stun off, and I don't really fear something like a torrential. I don't really feel that a torrential tribute or something is existent. Because usually, they'll bottomless the first synchro they see, or they'll compulse a tuner. And even if they torrential, if they're smart, they'll torrential when the last monster is summoned. And that's usually what I'll go into if I don't have a trap stun right offhand. I'll finish up with the Stardust, so if they torrential it, well, then that's just a waste of a card. And if they have something like a Mirror Force, then that's another thing I can do. It doesn't get around D Prison, unfortunately, but it does put a little pressure on your opponent. Now onto the Ixies. Rank 4s, I run 2 Geargia Necks. So like I said, really good for a Call the Haunted target when your opponent blind MSTs. He's your main floater of the deck. Really, really good card. And I play 1 and 2 Silent Honor Arcs. These cards are really, really good. A lot of people, with level 4s being kind of, like I said earlier, the new rank 7s of the format. You're seeing a lot more rank 4 plays. Pretty much every duel you're seeing an Arc, you're seeing an Exciton Knight, that sort of thing. But usually, especially with this deck where extra deck space is tight, your opponent usually only expects to see 1. So once the second one goes away, then they feel like that they can, sort of breathe a little bit, and and they can play, bigger, stronger monsters like Beals and everything that are harder to deal with. So likely they'll see the first one coming, but not so often they'll see the second one coming. With especially with this deck where extra deck space is so very, very tight. Then in Abyss Dweller, stops things, water dragons, fire kings, actually even harpies, because there was a duel. I was playing a harpy player. I flipped an armor and he divine wrathed it. He pitched a hysteric sign, and I was able to recover a little bit, go into a rank 4 and make it dweller. And then I activated the effect, and that actually stopped his hysteric sign from activating during the end phase and getting some free searches. And Exciton Knight. That's it for the rank 4s, and the last 2 cards are 2 rank 3s. I run Tempo. I've been debating whether or not I want to keep him in or if I want to switch him out for something different. The rank threes are kind of something I'm playing around with. Trying to figure out which ones work better, which ones are better for the meta and everything. But right now, Tempo, it's a really solid card. Really good for the Evil Sword matchup. Gets around Ophion, shuts them down a little bit. It's just a really good card. And the last rank 3 is number 49, Fortune Tune. Fortune Tune is really good for this deck. Basically, you can make them with one card. With you summon an MK2, bring back a Geargia, then you overlay into a rank 3. One card combo. And if you don't know what he does, he can't be targeted by card effects for 1. And if he would be destroyed by any means, you can detach material from him instead. So he can't be Phoenix Chained, he can't be compulsed. There's not much they can do except for run him over 3 times. And when he dies and goes to the graveyard, you can target 2 level 3 monsters in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck, and if you do, then you can return him back to the extra deck. So he's recyclable, and he makes your gears, that you get mid to late game live again. And not only that, but during each of your standby phases, you gain 500 life points. So that's a nice little perk, especially, you can easily make them, going into time and just stall out a little bit, when you don't have the resources or you don't feel confident in pushing. So that's the deck profile, guys. So make sure to rate the video, comment down below, and subscribe. Let me know what kind of videos you want to see in the future. One of the videos I will be going over, I'll be discussing a certain game mechanic, and that involves Maxi and when you can and can't activate Maxi. Because I feel that, especially with newer players and and players that aren't that familiar, I suppose, with game mechanics, I often see a lot of people misuse that card. So that's probably what I'll be going over in one of the future videos. There is a sneak peek for Primal Origins this weekend. I will be going to that. So if I might take a video or two up there of what I open, of how I do during the sealed play event, all that fun stuff. So like I said, make sure to subscribe down below, like the video, comment, share it, and please, give me, just give me some constructive criticism, of what I can do to make the channel better. More videos of what you'd want to see, all that sort of thing. So that's it, guys, and I will see you next time.